Hi everyone, and welcome to my crochet tutorial for the Snow Drift Stocking. The written pattern is available for purchase at rubywebs.etsy.com and rubywebscrochet.com. I've included a direct link to the pattern in the comments section below. So this is a medium-sized stocking, and it has a very unique texture. And the stocking is worked from the top cuff all the way down to the toe. So the cuff is made first in rows, and the remainder of the stocking is worked in the round. So the pom-poms and the little loop here to hang the stocking with, those are made last. So this is a true intermediate level pattern, and you will want to be comfortable with the front post double crochet stitch before you start. To make this stocking, you will need worsted weight size 4 yarn, along with G, I, and J, and M crochet hooks. You'll also need a yarn needle for weaving in your loose ends and also for weaving the heel together. You'll need a measuring tape or ruler. And if you're adding pom-poms, you'll need a pom-pom maker and sharp scissors for trimming. So for the off-white stocking shown here, I used Red Heart Super Saver. And today I'll be using I Love This yarn from Hobby Lobby in the color cranberry. So let's get started. We're going to start off today by making the cuff, and we will be using a J crochet hook. And so we will attach our yarn to our hook with a slip knot, and then we will start with a chain 21. So it should look like this. And we're going to turn and place a single crochet in the second chain from our hook and in each chain to the end of the row. So you should end with a total of 20 stitches. So the turning chain does not count as a stitch. So work a single crochet into the second chain from your hook and in each chain to the end of the row. Okay, so it should look like this. Okay, so now we're just going to turn. We're going to start with the chain 1. And this is row 2 that we're on now. You'll begin with a chain 1 and you will place a single crochet in each stitch to the end of the row. So you should have 20 stitches at the end of the row. So your first stitch will be in this first stitch at the base of your chain 1. Just single crochet in each stitch to the end of the row. Very easy. So it should look like this so far. So all you are going to be doing for rows 3 to 48, you will just be repeating row 2. So your cuff, when finished, should look like this. Okay, let me zoom out just a little bit so you can see the whole thing. Okay, so what we'll do next is I am right-handed, so I remove my hook from my work, and the loop here should be on the left side. So if you're left-handed, your loop will be on the right side. We're just going to fold this in half, just like this. So the edges are all lined up, or the stitches are all lined up. Okay, and you're going to take your hook and you're going to place it in this foundation, the first foundation chain on this side, and then back into the loop on the other side. You're going to make a slip stitch. Now we're just going to slip stitch these two edges together. So you'll place your hook into the next foundation chain loop, and then into the next stitch on the other side, and just make a slip stitch. You're just going to do this all the way down to join the two edges together. So into the next foundation chain, and then into the next stitch on the other side, make a slip stitch. We'll just do this all the way down. Okay, so it should look like this when you get it finished. Okay, and at any point you can weave this tail into this side of the fabric. This here will be the wrong side because the cuff will be flipped over at the end. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to make round 1. So I just wove in my loose end, and we will switch to a I 5.5 millimeter crochet hook for round 1. And in round 1, we will be working half double crochet stitches into the edge of the cuff. So what we will do is we will place 2 half double crochet at the very end here before the first 2 rows of single crochet that we made. So we'll place 2 here, and then we will just keep placing 2 half double crochet between every 2 rows of single crochet. So you can see here, like from one line here to the next line, that is 2 rows of single crochet. Okay, so you will do that all the way around. So we'll start with a chain 1, and this does not count as a stitch. So place 2 half double crochet at the very end here before the first 2 rows of single crochet. Let me zoom in a little more. That's a little better. So I did my chain 1 in this space right here, which is basically at the base of the chain 1. So 2 half double crochet in that first stitch. Okay, then we're gonna skip these 2 rows here and place 2 half double crochet in the space here. There's 1, 2, okay, and then you're going to skip 2 more rows and place 2 more half double crochet in this space here at the end. So there's 1, 2. You're going to do this all the way around, so 2 more right here. Okay, so it should look like this so far. Okay, so your last 2, you're going to do this all the way around, and your last 2 half double crochet will be in the space right here at the end. Okay, then you'll have 2 more rows, so you won't do any more half double crochet. So after you make these 2, you will join to the top of your first stitch with a slip stitch, and you can always place a stitch marker in that first stitch if you have trouble seeing where that is. So after you make your first half double crochet, you can place a stitch marker in it. Let me zoom back out. Okay, so I'm going to keep going with mine, and I will be back at the end of round 1. So I'm coming to the end of round 1, and I have 2 more half double crochet to place right here at the end, and you can see this is my seam right here. So we're going to place our last 2 half double crochet right here, and then we will join to the top of our first stitch with the slip stitch. Okay, so it should look like that. So I'm going to remove my stitch marker. I'm going to slip stitch in the top of the first stitch, not the chain 1, because the chain 1 does not count as a stitch in this pattern. Okay, so for round 2, all we are going to be doing is placing 1 front post double crochet in each stitch around. So we'll begin with the chain 1. Okay, and also you should be sure that you have the correct stitch count at the end of round 1. You should have 48 stitches at the end. Okay, and that stitch count is going to remain the same all the way until we begin to decrease when we get close to the toe. So I did my chain 1, and we're just going to make a front post double crochet in each stitch around. So yarn over, insert your hook from front to back to front around the post of the first stitch, yarn over, pull through your work. You should have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, I'm going to place a stitch marker in the top of that first front post double crochet just to make it easy to see where we join at the end. Okay, so let's do another. Yarn over, insert your hook from front to back to front around the post of the next stitch, yarn over, pull through your work, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so it should look like this so far. So you are just going to make 1 front post double crochet in each stitch around. So it should look like this so far. Okay, so keep working, and I will be back at the end of round 2. I'm coming to the end of round 2, and I have 2 more front post double crochet to make. 1 right here and 1 in this around this stitch here. Okay, so here's the last one. Oop. Okay, now we are going to slip stitch in the top of our first stitch to join. Okay, so it should look like this. Let me zoom out. So it should look like this so far. So in round 3, we are just going to be making little cables all the way around. I'm going to zoom back in. So we'll begin with a chain 1, and we're going to skip the next stitch, which is our first stitch right here, make a front post double crochet in the next stitch. Then you're just going to come back over and make a front post double crochet in the stitch that you skipped. So yarn over, skip the first stitch, front post double crochet in the next stitch. Let's place a stitch marker in that stitch. Okay, and now come back over and make a front post double crochet in the stitch that you just skipped. So yarn over, come over the top, so front post double crochet in that stitch. We're going to just do this all the way around, so it should look like this. Okay, so skip the next stitch, front post double crochet in the next stitch. Okay, come back and make a front post double crochet in the stitch that you just skipped. Okay, so it should look like this so far. Skip the next stitch, front post double crochet in the next stitch, come back and make a front post double crochet in the skip stitch. Let me do one more and then I'm going to keep working. Okay, skip the next stitch, front post double crochet in the next stitch, come back over and make a front post double crochet in the skip stitch. So it should look like this so far. Let me zoom out. Okay, so you're just going to do that all the way around. So I will be back when I get to the end of this round. I am at the end of round 3 and I have 2 stitches left. So I'm going to skip the next stitch, front post double crochet in the next stitch, and then come back over and make that front post double crochet in the stitch that I skipped. And we are ready to join to the top of the first stitch. Remove my stitch marker. Okay, when you join, it's this post stitch on the bottom of the cable. It says that was the first stitch. Okay, let me zoom out so you can see what this really looks like. Okay, so it should look like this. Show you the other side. In round 4, we are just going to be making a front post double crochet in each stitch around. This can be a little tricky because the first stitch can be hard to see because it's on the bottom of the cable. So I'm going to zoom in. Begin with a chain 1. Okay, so we're going to make a front post double crochet in the first stitch. And that is this stitch here on the bottom of the cable, and then front post double crochet in the next stitch, and that's this stitch on the top of the cable. So kind of spread the cable apart, front post double crochet in that first stitch. Should look like that. Front post double crochet in the next stitch. Okay, so it should look like this. Okay, let's keep going. So I'm going to spread the cable apart, and it's this stitch right over here. So front post double crochet into that next stitch. and then front post double crochet into the next stitch, which is this front post stitch on top of the cable. Okay, so it should look like this so far. So you just do this all the way around. So spread the cable out. Okay, let me do 2 more. So it should look like this so far. Let me zoom back out. Okay, I'm going to keep working and I will be back at the end of round 4. I am at the end of round 4 and I'm going to join with a slip stitch. Now this next part is important. Okay, we are going to slip stitch in the next stitch. So we begin round 5 1 stitch over. Okay, so I'm right-handed, so I'm slip stitching 1 stitch to the left. If you're left-handed, you'll be going to the right. Okay, so if we didn't do that and we started where we normally do, our cables will just run straight up and down, and that's super cute too. Like if you find this all too confusing and you just want to do that, that will work too. You'll just have a little different texture. But for this pattern, we begin 1 stitch over. So I just made my slip stitch. So I'm starting round 5, 1 stitch over. You can see this is where I was before. We're starting right above this stitch. So this round is just like round 3, but we're just starting 1 stitch over. So we'll begin with the chain 1. We're going to skip our first stitch, which is this stitch at the base of our hook here, or base of the chain 1. We are going to make a front post double crochet in the next stitch, which is this stitch here. And you can see this is like the post stitch on the bottom of this cable here. Okay, so you'll skip the first stitch, make your front post double crochet in this next stitch, come back and make a front post double crochet in this stitch which you skipped, which is the post stitch on the top of this cable. Okay, so skip your first stitch, front post double crochet in the next stitch, come back and do a front post double crochet in the skip stitch. Okay, so it should look like this. So we just keep doing this all the way around. So skip this next stitch, make a front post double crochet in the next stitch, come back and make a front post double crochet in the skip stitch. Okay, so it should look like this so far. I forgot to put my stitch marker in, but I do recommend for this round placing a stitch marker in your first stitch. Skip this stitch, front post double crochet in the next stitch. Come back do a front post double crochet in the skip stitch. Skip the next stitch, front post double crochet in the next stitch. Come back, do a front post double crochet in the skip stitch. Okay, I'm going to keep working and I will be back when I get to the end of this round. I am at the end of round 5 and I have 2 stitches left to make. So at the end of round 4, we joined to this stitch right here, and then we move 1 stitch over with that slip stitch. So what we're going to do, and you can see this is our seam here from rounds 1 to 4 where we joined and then made the chain 1. What we're going to do is we're going to skip our next stitch, which is this stitch here. So we're going to skip our next stitch. You're going to go right over the seam and make your next front post double crochet in this stitch right here. And then you're going to come back over and make your last front post double crochet in the skip stitch. Okay, and then we just join to the top of our first stitch with a slip stitch. Okay, so it should look like this. The other side looks like. Okay, so for round 6, we are just going to repeat round 4. So begin with a chain 1. Spread the cables out, and your first front post double crochet will be the post stitch on the bottom of this little cable. Front post double crochet in the next stitch. Front post double crochet in the next stitch. Again, it's this, if you spread the cable out, it's the front post double crochet on the bottom of the cable. Front post double crochet in the next stitch. I'm just going to do this all the way around. Oh, I messed that up, sorry. Okay, so it should look like this so far. I'm going to keep working, and I will be back at the very end of round 6. So I just joined at the end of round 6, and now I'm going to slip stitch in the next stitch. Okay, that is very important. Don't forget to do that. That way you are starting one stitch over for the next round. So for rounds 7 through 22, you will just be repeating rounds 3 and 4. You will be doing this section of the pattern here. Okay, and this is what it should look like. Okay, so I'm going to keep working, and I will be back to show you how to complete round 23 where we make the space for the heel. Okay, be sure at the end of the last round that you made the slip stitch in the next stitch. So we start this round one stitch over. So we'll begin with a chain 1, and you're just going to skip the next stitch, make a front post double crochet in the next stitch, come back over, make a front post double crochet in the skip stitch. You're going to do that a total of 6 times. Okay, I'm going to place a stitch marker in my first stitch. Okay, so I did that a total of 6 times. So you should have completed 12 stitches. Okay, now we're going to make a chain 24, and you will place a stitch marker in the first chain and then one in the last chain. So place a stitch marker in that last chain. All right. Okay, now you're going to skip 24 stitches. You're going to place a stitch marker in the first skip stitch and one in the last skip stitch. So you can see this stitch here will be our first stitch that we skip. Okay, so there's one. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I've skipped 24 stitches, placing a stitch marker in the first skip stitch, one in the last skip stitch. And then you're going to make a half double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So it'll be the stitch right after that stitch marker. Okay, be careful too that your chain doesn't get all twisted when you do this. Okay, so there's 1 half double crochet and then a half double crochet in the next stitch. Okay, so we've just made the space for the heel right in here. Okay, now you're going to skip the next stitch. Let me zoom in. So skip the next stitch right here, make a front post double crochet in the next stitch, and then come back over and make a front post double crochet in the skip stitch. You're just going to repeat that to the end. So there's 1, so come back over, front post double crochet in that skip stitch. Just going to do that all the way to the end of the round. about there. So I'm to the end of round 23, and you can see here, here's where we joined in the last round. So we're going to skip over the next stitch, and that seam, we're just going to skip right over that, and we're going to front post double crochet in the next stitch. Oops, sorry. And you're going to come back over and make a front post double crochet in that skip stitch, and then you will join to the top of your first stitch, which is this marked stitch right here, with a slip stitch. All right, so it should look like this so far. Okay, so this right over here will be the space for our heel. So in the next round, we'll just be working around the front and around the chain here. Okay, so we are ready for round 24. In round 24, you will want to switch to a G crochet hook. And in this round, we're just going to be making front post double crochet along the front here. So you'll do a total of 11 front post double crochet, a half double crochet into this stitch here before the first chain, and then you'll do a half double crochet in each of the 24 chains. And then you will make a half double crochet in the next stitch, and then just front post double crochet all the way back to the end. Okay, so front post double crochet in the first 11 stitches. So let me zoom in again. So I started with my chain 1. I'm going to spread that cable out. It's the front post double crochet on the bottom of the cable. That will be our first stitch. So there's 1. Half double crochet in the next stitch. Okay, so now you're just going to place a half double crochet in each chain and leave the stitch markers in place that we put in place in the last round. Just kind of work around them. You can kind of move it to the side. And okay, so half double crochet in each chain, and I'm going to keep going. I will be back when I get to the end. Okay, so I just made my last half double crochet into that last chain. You can see I'm just going to leave the stitch marker in place. Okay, so then we're going to place a half double crochet in the next stitch, which will be this stitch right here. So half double crochet into that stitch, and then just front post double crochet in each stitch to the end of the round. So that should be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, so 11 more front post double crochet, and then you will join to the top of the first stitch with a slip stitch. So it should look like this. So this will be, let me zoom out a little bit. So again, this is the space for our heel right here. At the end of round 24, be sure you slip stitch in the next stitch. So you will start round 25, one stitch over. So for round 25 through 36, we are just going to be repeating rounds 3 and 4. So I'll start, and we're going to continue to use our G hook. So I'll start with a chain 1, and I'm just repeating round 3. We're just going to go right up along the half double crochet that we worked into our chain. Just leave those stitch markers in place. Just kind of push it down if you can. Just work around it. So when you get here to the heel, you're just going to skip that next half double crochet, place a front post double crochet in the next stitch, come back, place a front post double crochet in that skip stitch. So you're going to do that all around. Okay, so you just keep going like that along the heel here. Skip the next half double crochet. Let me zoom in. Skip the next half double crochet, front post double crochet in the next stitch, come back, make a front post double crochet in that skipped half double crochet. Okay, we're going to do that all the way around, and then you just keep going like that. After you get around the heel, skip, you'll be working into the post stitches again, but you'll be doing the same thing. Okay, so I'm going to keep going, and I will be back to show you how to make round 37. I just finished with round 36, and this is what it should look like. We have the nice space for our heel here. And at this point, if you want to make the stocking any longer, just repeat rounds 3 and 4 as many times as you want. You don't have to end on a round 4. I think I already said that, but I'm going to start on round 37. And if you've gotten this far, the rest of this is going to be pretty easy. But I'm going to help you get started here with closing the toe. We're just going to be slowly decreasing by 6 stitches each round until we have 6 stitches left, and then we'll just weave the little hole together with our yarn needle. But I'm going to help you just get started with this. I don't think you'll have any problems if you've come this far. So we begin with the chain 1, and then we're going to make a half double crochet in the next 6 stitches. Okay, so my first stitch will just be in that stitch at the base of my chain 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and now we are ready for our first half double crochet decrease. Let me zoom in so you insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through your work. You should have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through your work. You should have 5 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 5 loops. Okay, so we're just going to repeat this all the way around. Half double crochet in the next 6 stitches, then a half double crochet decrease. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we're ready for a half double crochet decrease. Yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch. Yarn over, pull through your work. Yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch. Yarn over, pull through your work. You should have 5 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through all 5 loops. Okay, I'm going to keep going. So half double crochet in the next 6. I just did 1. There's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Another half double crochet decrease. So yarn over, insert your hook into that stitch. Yarn over, pull through your work. Yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch. Yarn over, pull through your work. Yarn over, pull through all 5 loops. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Okay, so I've got 2 stitches left, so we will make a half double crochet decrease with those last 2 stitches, and then we will join to the top of our first stitch. And again, if you need I didn't place a stitch marker in the first stitch of the round, but if you have trouble seeing where to join, just be sure to place that stitch marker in the first stitch of the round. So keep working, and I will be back to show you how to complete round 43. Round 43, and this is what the foot part should look like so far. So I have 12 stitches left, so we are going to single crochet decrease all the way around, which will give us 6 stitches at the end of round 43. Let me zoom in, and you may want to use a stitch marker here to mark your first stitch. Sometimes it can be kind of hard to see at the end of this round. So chain 1, single crochet decrease with the first 2 stitches, insert your hook into the first stitch, yarn over, pull through your work. So you should have 2 loops on your hook. Insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through your work. You should have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. So we're going to do that all the way around. I'm going to place a stitch marker in that stitch, so I know where to join at the end. Okay, so insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through your work, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through your work, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. So I'm going to keep going. We're just about done here. So let me see how many I've got here so far. Might have been my last. Into the top of my first stitch with a slip stitch. Okay, and then I'm going to fasten off. Let me zoom out a little bit. Oops, sorry. So I'm going to leave about a 6-inch tail there when I fasten off. And then we will Remove my stitch marker. Okay, I'm going to thread a yarn needle with this tail, and I'm just going to weave the small hole closed here in the bottom of the foot. Okay. And then I'm going to weave that into the inside of the stocking. We are ready to make our heel. Okay, so your stocking should look like this so far. Let me zoom out. It should look like this. Okay, and we are going to use our eye hook for the heel. So you're going to kind of lay it flat like this in front of you. Let me zoom back in. Okay, so all we're going to be doing here is really easier than it sounds or looks on paper. You're just going to attach your yarn at the center of the heel here, the bottom center. And you'll start with a chain 1, and then you're just going to place a half double crochet in each stitch until you reach this first stitch marker. Then you are going to make a half double crochet 3 stitches together by working into this marked stitch here, the stitch right at the corner, and then the next marked stitch. Then you're going to place a half double crochet in each stitch, and then do the same thing over here. So you'll do a half double crochet 3 stitches together with this stitch right here at the corner, or in the middle of these two, and then with this stitch, and then you just make a half double crochet in each stitch until you reach the end of the round, and then you join with a slip stitch to the top of the first stitch. So let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to attach my yarn somewhere in the middle here with the slip stitch and my eye hook, and I'm going to grab my stitch marker. Right, I'm going to put my tail on the inside there. Okay, so chain 1, place a half double crochet in that same stitch, and then in each stitch until you reach that first marked stitch. I'm going to mark my first stitch too with a stitch marker, just to make it easy to see where to join at the end. Okay, so I am to the first marked stitch, so I'm going to remove that stitch marker, so I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook into that stitch that was marked first. Let me zoom in a little more. Yarn over, pull through my work, then I'm going to go right into that stitch here at the corner that was right between the 2 marked stitches. Yarn over, pull through your work. Okay, so I should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loops on my hook. Yarn over, and then I'm going to go into that marked stitch, the next marked stitch. Yarn over, pull through my work. Yarn over, and I'm going to pull through all loops on my hook, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So pull through all 7 loops, and then we are going to place a stitch marker in that stitch that we just made, and we can set that other stitch marker aside. Okay, and now we're just going to half double crochet in each stitch along this other side. Alright, so I'm coming to the next marked stitch. Got one more here to make, and then we will do another half double crochet 3 together. So we're going to use this stitch, the stitch right in the middle, and then the next marked stitch for the half double crochet 3 together. Okay, so yarn over, we're going to be going right into here. I'm just going to leave this in place while I do this. Yarn over, insert my hook into that first marked stitch, yarn over, pull through my work. Okay, set that aside, yarn over. We're going to go right into the middle of those 2 marked stitches. Yarn over, pull through my work. Okay, now we are going to go into this next marked stitch, yarn over, insert my hook in the next marked stitch, yarn over, pull through my work. Oop. Okay, now we are going to yarn over and pull through all of the loops. Place a stitch marker, stitch. Okay, and now we just make a half double crochet in each stitch until we reach the end. So we will join to the top of our first stitch with a slip stitch. All right, so that is round 1, and I think round 1 is probably the hardest round. So we're going to do kind of the same thing here. So for the next round, you will just make a half double crochet until you reach 1 stitch before the stitch marker, and you will make a half double crochet 3 together with the stitch before the marked stitch, the marked stitch, and the stitch after the marked stitch. So you'll do that on both sides, and then you'll just you'll do a half double crochet in each stitch around. So chain 1. So half double crochet in each stitch until you reach 1 stitch before the marked stitch. Okay, so I will make a half double crochet 3 together with the stitch before the marked stitch, and the stitch after, and then we will put a stitch marker in that stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook into that stitch, yarn over, pull through your work, yarn over, insert your hook into the marked stitch, yarn over, pull through your work, yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through your work, yarn over, pull through all loops on your hook, and place a stitch marker in that stitch. Okay, and then we're just going to keep doing half double crochet, and then we'll do the same thing over here on the other side. Okay, so I have reached the point where I'm going to do another half double crochet 3 together. So I'm going into this stitch, and this stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through your work, yarn over, insert your hook into the marked stitch, yarn over, pull through your work. I'm going to remove this stitch marker, yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, so your hook in the next stitch, yarn over, pull through your work, yarn over, pull through all loops on your hook, place a stitch marker in that stitch, and then keep making half double crochet until you reach the end. Okay, first stitch with a slip stitch. Okay, so it should look like when you lay it on its side here, it should look like this so far. Okay, so you will just keep doing the same thing for rounds 3 and 4, and I'm going to keep working, and I will be back at the end of round 4 to show you how to weave the heel closed at the end. So I just finished making the heel. Okay, so it should look like this. So what we're going to do now is we are going to flip this inside out. We're going to weave in this loose end here and any other loose ends. So turn it inside out. And then we are going to just weave the heel together. Okay, so kind of, I'm going to get it like this. Okay, and I've got some loose ends here that I'm going to weave in first. Okay, then I'm going to weave this one in. Then we will be ready to weave the heel together. All right. So we are getting close to being done. So good job. All right, so now you're going to thread, cut like just a long strand of matching yarn, long enough to just weave all this together with your yarn needle. So you're going to thread your yarn needle with your yarn. And you want to like line up your stitches on both edges here. And then you're going to start at one end. You're going to insert your hook under this first stitch and through the stitch on the other side. Come over the top and then go back into that same stitch again and through the same stitch on the other side. We're going to do this all the way down now. We're just going to come over the top, go into the next stitch, and then through the other stitch on the other side, come back over the top. Just do that all the way down. Careful you don't pull it too tight when you're doing that. Just a little, just give it a little tug, but not too tight. I'm just about to the end. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on the end that I did in that first stitch. I'm going to go back into that same, come over and go back into that same stitch again. Okay, then I'm going to weave in my loose end. Okay, let me trim that one. And I'm going to weave in the loose end down on this end. And we'll be ready to make the little loop that we hang it with. Okay, so before you turn it right side out, I'm going to turn it this way. So we want to hang the loop. Let me zoom out again. So we want to hang that, like here's the heel side. We want to put the loop right here. So what you'll do is you will take a double strand of yarn, or you'll be holding 2 strands together, and then you make a chain 32 with a larger hook, like a 9mm or even a 6.5mm. So you'll chain 32 and then just slip stitch in the first chain, just like that. Okay, and then you're gonna fasten off. Okay, so you have like 2 separate tails here. So you'll weave one of them into the bottom of the chain. I'm gonna do that, the shorter one. You don't have to go very far, just a little bit into the chain. Okay, and then we're just gonna trim that. So then you will use the other 2 strands of yarn to sew the loop to the base of the cuff. So I am going to go ahead and do that, and I will be back. After you get your little loop sewn on, and you will turn your stocking right side out, and it should look like this. And I've already folded down my cuff. And if you wish to add pom-poms to your stocking, I have included instructions in the written pattern, but that is totally up to you. So I hope you enjoyed the pattern. Thank you so much.